Good evening, everyone. So today we are looking at neck anatomical studies, part three from David Finch. I have a morpho book over here with me to my side, and just gonna make the entire drawing process more chill, and in case I want to just do an extra study. So yeah, I'm just gonna start the video. By the way, something weird happened to my live yesterday. I don't know, it just like caught for no reason, like it just went off, and I couldn't get back into the stream. It was weird and annoying. Hello, Kaji. Welcome to the stream. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining. Uh, how's your day going? Yeah. What do you need, man? What do you need? What do you need help with? Fundamentals shaped. I don't understand. Fundamental. Oh, fundamental shapes. Is that what you mean? Fundamental shapes. All right. Yeah, I've spoken about this a bit, but let me touch on it a bit more. So um have you noticed, I think you've been on the stream for a while, so you've noticed how I start every drawing. Yeah. So let me just play a time lapse for you and so that you can see something. Start. Now look at this. Look at this. I want to just like sort of, I hope you can see it clearly though. You see this drawing over here. If you see how I started it extremely loosely. Yeah, I'll get to the fundamental shapes in a minute. But if you look at the start of this study, you can see I started it very loosely. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I started it with shapes. I didn't start it with like details. Yeah, I started it with shapes. So whenever you're starting like your studies, I believe the first thing you're looking at usually is the basics. You are going to do figure drawing. It's very important. Yeah, for whatever study you're doing, figure drawing. But the most important thing is usually with shapes. That's the way you can break down things easily. So I'm going to show you something right now. Um, do I have any reference over here? Now let's look at this lady over here. I hope you can see it. This lady over here. Whenever you look at an image like this, the first thing that should come to your mind isn't how dark are her eyelashes, like what is the texture around her hair. Uh, that is not the first thing that should come to your mind. The first thing that should come to your mind are shapes. And what are the basic shapes? The basic shapes are circles or spheres. Yeah, I'll just write them here like this. Yeah. The second shape is triangles. Triangles, yeah, are basic shapes. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but I just have to break it down like this. Another one is you could call these triangles or you could call them pyramids. Yeah, you could call them pyramids. The next shape is cylinders. It can be long cylinders or tubes. Most people call them tubes. Um, or just short tubes. It depends on what you're looking at. So the next shape, usually, what other shapes are there? Are cubes. Are cubes. Cubes. Yeah, that's the next shape. So I believe that this one, two, three, four shapes are very vital and important whenever you are doing any drawings. And these are the shapes you should look for whenever you are looking to approach any single drawing that you're doing, because that is what you will find. Yeah. So let's use this lady that we're drawing as an example. Now, I am currently personally not at the stage where I could draw this from scratch and like not make any mistake. So that is why I need these shapes like this to keep bending and bending and bending and bending the drawing, erasing and adjusting to the point where I'm satisfied with how this work will look. Uh, Oh yeah. That's true. That's true. Thanks for correcting me. Yeah. So yeah, let me just put pyramid here. Cylinders and cubes. All right. So like I said, whenever you're drawing this, looking at this, the first thing you should look for are these shapes. So once I'm looking for this, it will then take us back to like the Loomis method for drawing. And the Loomis method for drawing involves two major shapes. The two major shapes involved are spheres and boxes. Spheres and boxes or cubes. Depending on what you use. Spheres, boxes, and cubes. And the box can be shaped like this, or the box can be shaped like this. These are very important shapes whenever you're drawing a head. So you have to look for those shapes in this face. And this is just like a technique for drawing. So what are that shapes? So then we have from your video on some comics. Where can I download it? Uh, uh which comics exactly are you talking about? Which comics exactly are you talking about, Ransford? All right. So the head now, for instance, another thing is measurements is very important. So things like center line, perspective. There's a bit of not calculation, but there's just a bit of measurements that you have to understand. Are you asking if the head is spherical or oval? Is that what you're asking? Is that like a question? The head is not necessarily spherical. It can take a spherical shape when you're looking at it at certain angles. But I'm just talking about the technique from Andrew Limis. Right. So we have this. This is the first shape. And then that box shape that I talked about, we can look at it here. And based on the perspective, we have something like this. Then we have a center line. And then we can place that box shape on the face. So we could use something like this, or we could use something like this. Could use this shape to get, so the fusion of this shape, and once you break it down more and more, you'll be able to get this. So these are the first shapes you should be thinking about whenever you are. Oh, the video I did before this, you mean the one I just uploaded? Do you mean the artist I was talking about? What's his name? uh Daniel Warren Johnson. Is that the guy you mean? If it's that guy, you won't be able to download. I don't think you'll be able to download his work. You either need to get a physical copy, or you need to read it online directly. So I usually read it online. I don't have a physical copy. I don't have a physical copy. You can check. There are sites. There are sites that you can be able to get it. There's one called I think uh, if you go to imagecomics.com and check it out and just type the name, you see the series. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. Yeah. So these shapes, major shapes, whenever you're breaking things down, and you see how loose my sketch is. I'm not like trying to be like very detailed and stuff when I'm drawing. I'm trying to be loose so that I can immediately correct anything that I'm drawing. So, and that's where like techniques are going to come into place. So these are the basic shapes. What you just need to do is that you need to learn to draw them in different angles and in different perspectives. So, like the hand, for instance, now is that like if you look at David Finch's hand over here, if someone were to draw it, you would see that you would need shapes. The first thing, like I said, you should be thinking about shapes. So David Finch's hand over here, um, you could you sort of need to think. So we have a cylinder. It looks like a tube first of all. So we have a, a cylinder like this first of all. The next thing is that the hands. So the shapes you need to be thinking about is you need to be thinking about boxes or cubes, and you also need to be thinking about cylinders as well. So for the hands, for instance, this is why I say this takes a lot of practice. It's not something you're just going to get in 1 week or in 1 day. You break it down. You could break it down like this, and this is a cube in a different angle. This is a cube in a different angle. Although to be fair, the hand does have some sort of weird wedge shape. And then we have this this sort of shape like this. And then we're going to think in terms of like cylinders. So we have this cylinder going up like this, and then another cylinder joining it like this to make up the finger. Then we have a cylinder connecting all the way like this, going all the way like this, and then connecting like this to make up the hand. So you just imagine it like some sort of the hands like some sort of machine. Okay. Yeah, so these are just shapes fused together that are going to like help you break down anything. So also come looking at this lady's face, we have the eyes as first. That is also why you need to study each individual part of the human body. That's why we have art fundamentals. So we're talking about shapes now, but art fundamentals are different. Art fundamentals involves anatomy, composition, color, value, perspective, things like that. And you need to, there are principles behind them that enable you to understand them better. And those ones also have, their subsections that you need to learn to get better at them. And now to draw a face well, you need to understand anatomy. And that is where, you know, it's going to involve a whole other discussion. My problem right now is that my shapes aren't even legible yet. All right. So how long do you spend like studying like on in a day on average? This one's late. Sorry, Shaki. Sure, sorry. I was watching a football match. Sorry. And I was watching a football match and I was doing something earlier in the day. Uh you just there's no other way, like, yeah, if the problem is with regards to the fact that Yeah, I'll just advise like patience. That's just what I'll say. I'll just say like, um go online and get shapes. Like you just type in shapes in different angles. That's what I'd say. Or what you could do is that, so you could get something like this. I don't know if you're seeing this. Shapes in different angles. Get something like this. And no matter how crap or illegible what you're drawing is, you just keep drawing. Unless, of course, the problem is like arthritis or something like osteoporosis that the person have, which you're a very young person. I don't think you have that issue. As long as you keep doing it, your hands are going to get strong. If you spend like, I don't think this is not that hard. You could do it. You could do this in 20 minutes, probably 10 minutes to be fair. Uh, Even 5 minutes, you could do this. But however long it takes, you pick something like this or you pick a shape like this and you do this, right? And you just stick with these shapes. Then you pick another shape that could be a cube, right? That could be not a cube. That could be a pyramid shape, and you draw that in different angles. You draw that in different angles and try to understand the basic properties of these shapes. Or you could go to a platform like Sketchfab, sketchfab.com, and you type any shape, let's say cylinder. Go to a platform like sketchfab.com. You get a shape like this, and then you look at it in different angles and different perspectives and try to draw. You position the cylinder in different perspective and try to draw it. Something as simple as this, or let's say what other shape shapes are there? uh, I've said cubes, I've said spheres are pretty relatively easy. um which other shapes did I talk about just now? Triangles, cylinders, those are the basic shapes. So you just search for the shapes and just draw them. That's just what I can say. The name of the site is Sketchfab. Look at it over here. Sketchfab.com. That's the name of the site. Right? So, and you can also get you can type any shape that you want, anything you want to draw, and look at it in different angles. So let's say, what is simple to draw? Yeah, let's say a table. Yeah, something like a table. Something like a table. You get a simple table like this or simple table like this. And something that has like a simple shape like this in different angles, you can use it as an exercise to practice. Don't worry about all these little details or intricacies. What you need to focus on learning is the shapes and try to get them. So a simple shape like this, a cup, you try to look at the shapes that actually make this look the way it does. And despite how squiggly or chicken scratchy your drawing is, you just keep practicing it. But honestly, that's just the suggestion I have. Uh, it's just all about reps. The reason I'm not like a world class artist or anything, but the reason why I'm able to do what I'm able to do is because I have drawn a lot and I've drawn it for more than a decade. Yeah, so I'm not even as good as I want to be, but I have drawn for years and years and years and years and years, and I practice every day. Like, I'm over here watching a video about David Finch learning how to draw the neck. It's not like I don't know how to draw a neck. It's not like I don't know the compositions of a neck. It's not like I don't know the anatomy of a neck. It's not like I don't know the shapes that make up a neck. It's just to refresh my memory and make it stronger. Like, continuously improve, continuously improve. And I know there's definitely one thing that I can look from this David Finch video that can actually make me just that little bit better. So it's all about practice and all about not giving up. And if you keep doing it, it has to be like a long term thing. You shouldn't just look at yourself for 1 week and be like, oh, I suck because for over 1 week I've been trying and it's not good enough. Are you asking me a question, Chris? Anyways, back to the video. Like I was saying, shapes. So right here, yeah, I'm looking like what I'm doing is shit, yeah, and of course I can adjust it, and because it's not like going according to the plan, I can of course adjust it, and that's why I leave my lines loose. Yeah, that's why I leave my lines loose. And like if I'm looking at the drawing, like I said, things that I look for are shapes. If you look for the space beneath the neck, you're seeing like a triangle, something akin to a triangle over there. You're looking at the neck, you're looking at a cylinder. You're looking at a cylinder shape. Looking at the head, you can see a box. Most cases it's a box. So all these little things are what you'll be able to. Yeah, I said it before. They weren't you listening? Sketchfab.com. I said it 3 times. Sketchfab.com. Look at it over here. Sketchfab.com. Sketchfab.com. Yeah, you're welcome, Kaji. You're welcome. Anytime. So like I said, just be patient with yourself. Yeah, it's not like because it's not working out doesn't mean like you are not making progress. I promise you, you're making progress. You just have to just be patient. The problem is that there's just an oversaturation of excellence online, and everybody is good these days, yeah, and everybody like loves to make it look easy. Like they just like they use virtually no effort to get to where they are. And for some people that is true, but for the majority of people, it took a lot of effort, it took a lot of time for them to get good. So like don't worry about it. Just be patient, and just as long as you keep doing the work, you definitely get good. You just have to take it step by step. And like I said, when you're studying, don't just study just shapes. Try to branch outside it. Like I said, you do like a table, like I showed you, and sometimes you even try like full figures. You even try full figure drawing, like just for fun, yeah, just to actually revel in how much you suck, because that is good perspective. It's also part of information. It's also part of your like education as an artist or like a creative. It's very important. Like I do something that I am not that good at every day, and that is making comics. And it involves doing perspective, which I'm very terrible at. But I still do it regardless. Yeah, so I know how terrible I am. Oh, all right. We've set this up. Remember, it's a next study video, by the way. Anyway, if anyone is ever wondering, the reason for this line is because we are looking at a clavicle. I don't know, like, remember when I talked about the fact that clavicle is like, what do they call that stuff? Is it bicycle handle? So, we have like a bicycle over here like this, or like a hanger in most cases. Has anyone seen a hanger for clothes? Yeah, and then, it usually has this stuff. Yeah, imagine the clavicle sort of like that, and then we have the sternum over here like this. Right. So let's say this is a bicycle. This is a bicycle head, and then we have the bicycle tires over here like this. Yeah. So that is what the clavicle is. So that is why, like, and if you were to rotate this part of the bicycle, you would see it like it's going to be weirdly different. It's going to look something like this. So that's the reason for that line. Handlebar, exactly. Handlebar, exactly. Handlebar, and then the sternum, which is our chest bone, is like, what the hell is this? I don't know what this is. I don't know the parts of a bicycle. Um, yeah, but essentially that is what it is. Uh, Anyways, back to what he's saying in the video. Okay, and also like when you're drawing, guys, um, like there are things called passes. Like there's a first pass. I've said it before. Maybe like no one has ever like asked me what it is, or like maybe they didn't care enough to ask. But there are things called passes. Yeah, and passes are basically I'm doing my sketch and then I'm doing my because I've done this several times. When I'm working on studies like this, I do my first pass, I do my second pass, I do my third pass most times, and then I do my inking, right, which is like final, uh, the final part of the drawing. Yeah. So I don't just begin drawing in detail. I have to actually um, like the rough idea, the way things look rough in my head, I have to get it out. So even people that are top artists, they still do this. Of course, things most of the times they are able to just draw, and that is because they've drawn that thing over and over and over again. So they are extremely familiarized with it. But whenever they are working on something that is like extremely professional and detailed, they do first pass, second pass, third pass, and that is why you see a top artist like David Finch, who has worked for over 25 to 30 years doing comics professionally, where they are paying him big bucks, he's still erasing whilst drawing, despite the fact that he's a phenomenal artist. So after he's done his rough sketch, he still erases that sketch, and he then does a cleaner version of that sketch. So a second pass could be like a cleaner version of this sketch with a little bit more detail. And then a third work would be like the inking. A third pass would be like the inking, right? When you start like getting everything together. Um, yeah, so that is what I'm going to do here. So whenever you are drawing and you're erasing immediately, you're drawing, you're erasing immediately. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Ideally, what I would say is that don't just draw like that. How do I put it? I wish I could show you like my because most people work traditionally. Like to show you my sketchbook. Let me see. Right. When you're drawing, I don't know if anyone can see this. I doubt it. I doubt anyone can see it. But when you're drawing, you're not just don't just draw like hard like this. You go as light as possible. Let me just come up to the camera. You go as light as possible so that you can try and like get the details of what you want, or like whatever shape that it is you want. Yeah, you go light, and you don't be afraid to like make rough, like create roughness like this. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the beauty of drawing. Yeah. It's all part of the beauty of drawing. You make mistakes. Be happy to make mistakes. Like the canvas is not going to jump up and like eat you or anything like that. Yeah, you make those mistakes. Yeah, you make those mistakes. Yeah, so it's all part of the. I know it's very dark, but it's all part of the like drawing process. And when you're done, you then erase what you've drawn over and over again. So yeah, what I'm just trying to say is that like one of the parts of the beauty of art is that you could create rubbish and it still be something. All right, I'm going to add the eyebrows now because it looks like that's what he's doing. How you doing, Green Stick? Welcome to the stream. All right. I don't want his hair to be as full as the one he drew there. Not like it's like important to what we're studying, because what we're actually studying is the neck. But you still want it to be a like good figure, especially when you see what like David Finch is doing with his own figure. So also one thing to also take note of that can also be very helpful. As you can see, all these little shadows that I'm doing, of course, it's a little bit more of an advanced stuff, but it's still all about shapes. You still need to sort of like imagine it as shapes, because that's what is going to make it a lot easier to draw. Let me just catch up with what he has done here. The reason for this line on his face is because this is a lean character. He doesn't have a lot of body fat, and so you're going to see the shape of the skull around his face. And over here is just the zygomatic arc that is being shown. So that is the reason why I'm putting that line over there like that. Am I proficient in hatching? No, I'm not. Um, no, I'm not proficient. I'm all right, but I'm not proficient. I understand how to use it, but I'm not proficient. I've not done enough of works with it. But I do understand it though. Like if you need me to explain what I know, I can explain it for you. Because I have in fact done a video about cross hatching, um, where I explained it. And even if you like look at my comic book, there is some decent cross hatching here and there. But I do understand the principle though. Oh yeah. I do use it, but not a lot in my comics. In like issue 5 of my comics, I used it a lot. But then I just chose not to. But I do use it. I do use it. But because I use it doesn't mean I'm that good at it. Because hatching is just like the idea of hatching is just like another way of rendering and another way of interpreting shadows. Basically, it's another way of interpreting shadows. So like if you don't want to use like colors immediately to like show shadows, to show lighting and things like that, you can. I'm making my guy smile. Well, apparently he's pissed off. Hmm. Yep, he looks a bit more pissed off now. Uh, I really like how he applies his shadows. Very nice. Liverpool. Mm. Uh, if you notice, it's all about shapes here and there. I think I'm caught up in terms of like the the actual character. Let me just make his hair a bit more nicer. All right, it's looking a bit more decent. Yeah, you did. Exactly. All right, as you can see, I'm going to tackle this drawing that he's doing here again. And just like I did with this one, and you see the final result, I'm also going to apply shapes with this as well. This drawing that he's going to do. So the head is looking downwards. So there are different shapes you could use for this. You could use a cube. You could use like a cube for this, a cubic shape for this to sort of get, or you could use like sort of get the angle, and then you could even use another cube to get the angle that the head is positioned at. So this could be two cubes, two boxes rather, and then don't forget our, or you could use a sphere. To be fair, you could use a sphere that you could put, and then you could use a box, and then then place the facial features, and then you could use another cylinder. Remember, the cylinder is going all the way up to here, kind of, and that's where we're having that attachment with the head. So you kind of need to be viewing things as like 3D objects. That basically is what I'm saying. And this is over here. I'll be adjusting. So center line over here as well. I'm going to have our mask. And then the mouth.
basic head drawn in. Now I'm going to need to go ahead and define the rest of my drawing. And I am going to do this more of a line drawing and then like in kind of a way. So I'm a little less confident with all of this. And I know that I've been doing this for years and years, but you'd be amazed at the kinds of things that can slip through the cracks. And you just end up basically doing the best cheap version that you can do without really having the kind of knowledge that you should have to be able to do things properly. And that's something that's a common theme through my work, and I know I'm not alone. It's very difficult to know everything perfectly. Even when this is your job to know, and I know that it is. Trying hard not to get too carried away with drawing too much of this figure. And I really want to make sure that that works in relation with the kind of figure that I would normally draw. So there we go, there's my figure basically drawn in. I have major landmarks. I don't want to draw too much in here to start because I don't want to give myself long lines that are just going to be a problem to like. And so I'm going to go ahead and shadow over here. And this kind of shadow, I'm going to totally obscure that muscle there. At least I know where it is and I know what I'm dealing with in terms of shape. Shadow under here. This whole arm can just be shadowed under my arm.
All right, so we've gotten like the basic shape and structure of what we're going to draw. As you can see, even at this area of the clavicle here, I made a mistake, but you can see that I kept readjusting and kept readjusting until, and I'm still readjusting until I get something that I like. And even when I begin to do like the second pass or whatever, I'm still going to readjust some more because that's just the thing about drawing. You just have to keep bending the canvas to your will over and over and over again. And it's drawing is all about observation. And once you've observed something that is not good enough, that doesn't suit your taste, that doesn't suit your standard, and you kind of have the skill to adjust it, or you do your best to sort of fix that error or that lapse that you made in your initial sketch. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to erase it a bit and start to fix some part of the drawing. Like just add in a little bit of detail. I noticed I made his body a bit too big in comparison to then I'm going to change my brush or my sketching pen and add a bit more detail over here. There's more frown lines over here. Right on the female heads from David Finch. Yes, I did, Chris. I did. I did that. I think 7 or 8 videos ago. That's in a live. I did it in a live, but the lives, most of these lives, I'm going to convert them to actual videos, so that like they can be shorter for people that don't watch the live. Not like anybody watches the normal videos, but I do see like 10 or so people do watch it. So the people that watch the lives are probably the people watching the normal videos. But I'm shortening some of these videos or some of the highlights from the lives that can be actually useful to people. And I'm turning it into like a full video so that people can watch it or learn something from that. if they are interested. Anyways, the nose and the mouth. The light is coming from above, so one of the reasons why there's a lot of shadow at this area of the face. Based on what he's drawing, at least. Although I have seen the latest one, I think he dropped that one at the weekend that he did, but I haven't checked out that one. By the way, the video I did where I talked about drawing the females, or drawing women or ladies, I didn't give a good account of myself. I didn't draw do this. It was a study session, so technically it shouldn't mean anything. But the drawings were not great. That is why eventually I'm still going to do more. So yeah, but you see, the thing is, I have all this like drawings. I take note of drawings that I don't like, but not to the point where like it keeps me paralyzed that I don't draw again. I just try to make up for it by just improving. Mm. The reason why I'm spending time on these shadows is that I hated the last next study I did. I hated the shadow that I did. I was disgusted by it. I didn't like it at all. I hate like this pen. I don't like the way it applies shadow or applies like blacks when I'm sketching. So I've opted to just use this style when I'm drawing to just make it look a bit clean. Hmm. Okay, the ears now. Okay, let me work on the neck. Mm, 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 mm. Uh, okay, I could increase the pen. Let me increase the pen a little bit. Then, reduce my pen a bit. Hmm. Increase my pen some more. Attack the deltoid area. Phew. I think that's good. That's okay. Don't want to detail more than that, to be fair. I mean, I want to, but yeah, I want to conserve my energy for something else.
My deltoid has a connection here that I drew a couple of times in my reference, and so it's making me really aware of drawing that little indented shadow there. And so now for this side of the neck, I want to bring this fairly far down again, so I don't end up with a massive area trying to figure out there, and I feel like I still might be far out. We'll see. Draw this tendon going through here. I just like it. Works for me. I'm going to shadow here. Got this strip muscle here, which now completely fights with what I just did here. And so I'm finding a conflict with this muscle that I just learned and this bit of shadow that I've liked to do for years. And so I'm going to need to kind of reconcile that. So for starters, I'm going to draw what I know is there.
You're welcome, Kaji, and yeah, I'm happy to help, man. Happy to help. Uh, happy drawing and happy practice. By the way, happy practice. Um, by the way, if anyone is interested or has video requests, maybe they need something in particular, they can always let me know. Uh, and just like Kaji suggested, I set up a Patreon. Link is in the description. If anyone's interested in supporting me, yeah, they can check out the Patreon. I set it up on Saturday, Friday, Saturday. Haven't posted anything there though.
Really large muscle that connects in through here. I've got some striations coming in through here, and I'm not worrying about being actually all that accurate with the underlying muscle there. It's more important to me. I'm actually going to draw that shadow all the way down. Really create a clean juice there. That works actually a little bit better. And this is where I'm taking what I learned from my basic anatomy and then trying to make it reconcile and work with my overall lighting and understanding of how I like to draw my figures. And so that's basically what I end up with there. And I actually really like that. I think that it's informed quite a bit by what I just learned. But I'm not allowing myself to be constrained by it. I'm worrying about exactly what all these little shapes here are. I've got to put a shadow in there. And I've kind of made this up a little bit just by using interlocking shapes. I've got shape here.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to stop here. Thanks everyone for joining the stream. I really appreciate it. I'll end this. I'm going to end this here. Like this was a nice study session. Just quick and just like two nice figures. I like how clean they are. Thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate it. We've been over an hour. hour and 5 minutes. Anyways, have a lovely night's rest, everyone, and I'll see you guys